Hi, it's Chris at the Quilter's Nook, and we're back for another technique dealing with our 4-patch square up tool. And this technique is called the offset 4-patch. And you can see right there, that's the little unit we're gonna make. This is a fun little unit. You see these a lot in quilts. So I'm gonna show you how this one works. So for this one, we're gonna make 2 different strip sets. We have, I'm calling this piece A and piece B. So we have a small strip A and a big strip B for one set. We have a small strip B and a big strip A for the second set, okay? And you can see from our block right here that they're 2 different sizes on purpose. So I'm gonna make a 3-inch finished unit. So my narrow strip is 1 3/4 inches and my large strip is 2 3/4. So when I go to cut my strips or my units, everything's gonna get pressed to the A for starters. So I'm gonna cut a little piece here, and I'm cutting the size of my A pieces. So this one was 2 3/4. So we're gonna cut this at 2 3/4 so that this is a square. Okay, we're gonna make a lot of those. And on this strip set, this was 1 3/4 inches. So we'll do 1 3/4 inches, 1 3/4. All right, so there's that. And we're gonna make this into a square. Now we're gonna sew these together. And you're gonna sew them together like this. And you're gonna put it down. You're gonna nest this seam, okay? And then you're gonna sew. You can press open, you can press to the side, or you can twist the seam, however you wanna do that. Okay, a little twisted seam. Just helps it lay a little bit flatter. And then we are going to trim this guy. Now this guy gets trimmed twice because, where's my ruler? Here it is. Because we have a small square that needs to be trimmed and a large square that needs to be trimmed. All right, so I'm going to make a 3-inch finish, so it's a 3.5-inch cut unit. So on my chart, it tells me that I need to put the number 2 circle right at the intersection of my small square. And you can see that the dashed lines are working on top of my seam lines. That's exactly what I want. And we've got just about 1/4 inch all the way around. Okay, there's that cut. And now my chart tells me I need to put the 4 circle at that same intersection. And since I'm making a 3-inch unit, I'm trimming to 3.5. And my 3.5 just sits right there at the edge. Okay, everything lines up really super nice. That's what I like about this tool. And we're gonna trim and trim. And there you have an offset 4-patch. Now, you're thinking, well, what can I do with that? Well, let's play a little bit. What if you put them like this and like that? That's kind of an interesting little block. If you, oh, let's do this. Have you ever done a disappearing 9-patch? Some of you may have. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks, right? So for a disappearing 9-patch, you cut it apart down the center and you flip opposite blocks. And now you have a disappearing 9-patch. And if you changed up the colors, you could get a different, different effect. But what a neat way to do a disappearing 9 patch. On the back of that technique sheet, so there's the disappearing 9 patch look. Depending on the colors that you use, you can get a whole bunch of different effects with just this one block. So this one's kind of fun. This is the offset 4 patch. Hope you like that one. We have one more for you next week. Have a good day.